Chapter 1, The Knock at 3 a.m. The sound jolted me awake, sharp and deliberate, cutting through the silence of the night. At first, I thought I had dreamt it, but then it came again, 3 heavy knocks that seemed to echo through the house. I checked the clock on my nightstand, 3 a.m. exactly. My stomach tightened. Who knocks at that hour unless something's wrong? I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake David. He had been restless all week, tossing and turning, sometimes leaving the room in the middle of the night. I told myself he was just stressed from work. Now, as I padded barefoot through the hallway, I wasn't so sure. The knock came again, louder this time. I peered through the peephole and froze. A uniformed police officer stood on the porch, his face partly shadowed under his cap. My throat went dry. I cracked the door open, the chain lock still fastened. "Can I help you, officer?" I whispered, trying not to sound scared. He didn't waste words. His eyes locked on mine, cold and direct. "Is your husband home tonight?" The question sank into me like ice water. Not your husband's name, not as David Miller home, but your husband. As though he already knew, but wanted to hear it from me. I glanced upstairs. The faint hum of our bedroom fan drifted down the hall. David should have been asleep. Shouldn't he? Why? I asked, my voice trembling. The officer's expression didn't change. "It's urgent." Something in his tone made my skin crawl. I thought of David's late-night calls, the hushed arguments in the garage when he thought I was asleep, the moments when I caught him staring off like he was carrying a secret too heavy to share. "Yes," I said finally. "He's here. He's upstairs sleeping." The officer tilted his head slightly, as though he didn't quite believe me. He scribbled something in a notebook, then handed me his card. "If you see him," he said, "call me immediately." Then, just like that, he turned and walked back to his car. I shut the door, my hands trembling. The silence felt unbearable. I turned toward the stairs to check on David, only to find our bed empty. Chapter 2, A Hidden Past. The sheets on David's side of the bed were still warm when I touched them. He hadn't been gone long. My pulse raced as I pulled the blanket back, hoping maybe he was just in the bathroom, or maybe he'd gone downstairs for a glass of water. But the bathroom was empty, the light off, and the kitchen silent. I stood in the middle of the dark hallway, heart thudding so hard it felt like it echoed through the house. Where had he gone at 3 a.m.? And why did the officer ask about him so specifically? My mind replayed the past few weeks like a film reel. David's excuses, late night at work. Just a quick errand. You don't need to worry about it. He used to share everything with me. His frustrations, his little triumphs at the office, even the silly things that made him laugh. But lately, it was as if there was a wall between us. Once, I'd caught him outside in the driveway, whispering into his phone. When I asked, he snapped, "It's nothing. Go back inside." Nothing. Always nothing. I forced myself back into the kitchen and stared at the officer's card on the table. Detective Mark Reynolds. The bold black letters felt like they carried a weight I wasn't ready to hold. Should I call him back? What would I even say? A sudden noise outside made me jump, a car door slamming, followed by the faint hum of an engine pulling away. I hurried to the window, but the street was empty except for the red taillights fading in the distance. Was David in that car? The question lodged in my chest like a stone. I sat down and pressed my face into my hands. Memories of our wedding flooded back, his hand squeezing mine, his eyes full of promises. The man I married wouldn't sneak out at night. He wouldn't lie to me. He wouldn't, what? Do whatever it was the police were investigating? I crept back upstairs, more out of instinct than logic, and checked his dresser. One drawer was partly open. Inside, his wallet was gone. His phone, too. And on the top, an envelope with my name written in his handwriting. I didn't open it. Not yet. All I could think was, what has David done? Chapter 3, The Officer's Warning. By dawn, I still hadn't opened the envelope. It sat on the dresser like a ticking bomb, daring me to tear it open, but some part of me wasn't ready for the truth. What if it contained something I couldn't unlearn? Something that would shatter the man I thought I knew? I carried it downstairs, gripping it tightly, when a sharp knock rattled the door again. My breath caught in my throat. It was too early for visitors, unless it was him. But when I peeked out the window, the same officer from the night before was on my porch. Detective Mark Reynolds. He looked even more tired now, his eyes scanning the street before meeting mine. I opened the door, this time without the chain. "He's not here," I blurted before he could even ask. His jaw tightened. "So you realized it too?" "Realized what?" My voice cracked. Reynolds studied me for a long moment, then lowered his voice. "Mrs. Miller, your husband may be involved in something dangerous. We've been investigating him for a while, but things escalated last night." My knees nearly gave out. I clutched the doorframe for balance. "No," I whispered. "You're mistaken. David isn't, he's not like that." The detective's eyes softened, but only slightly. "I wish that were true. But if he contacts you, do not confront him. Don't let him back in this house. Call me immediately." The words rang in my ears like a warning bell. "Don't let him back in." "I don't understand," I stammered. "What could he possibly have done?" Reynolds hesitated. "I can't share all the details yet. But there are people looking for him. Dangerous people. If he's desperate, even you may not be safe." A cold shiver rippled through me. This was my husband we were talking about, the man who made me coffee every morning, who kissed me on the forehead before leaving for work. Could he really be dangerous? The detective slipped a small burner phone into my hand. "Use this if he comes back. It goes straight to me." Before I could ask more, he turned and walked back to his car, leaving me standing on the porch with the envelope in one hand and the burner phone in the other. When I finally opened the envelope, my heart stopped. Inside was a single sheet of paper with just 6 words, written in David's hurried scrawl. "If they find me, it's over." Chapter 4, The Return. The house was so quiet I could hear the hum of the refrigerator. I sat at the kitchen table with the envelope spread before me, those 6 words burning into my mind. If they find me, it's over. Every creak of the house made me flinch. I clutched the burner phone Detective Reynolds had given me, torn between dialing it and clinging to the hope that this was all a mistake. At 5:12 a.m., the silence broke. The back door clicked, followed by the groan of old hinges. My pulse thundered in my ears. Someone was inside. "Anna?" The voice was low, careful. "David." He stepped into the kitchen, his hair disheveled, clothes wrinkled, his jacket smeared with dirt. His eyes darted toward the table, landing on the envelope I had already opened. "You weren't supposed to read that yet," he said, his tone heavy, almost resigned. My hands trembled as I pushed the paper toward him. "What does it mean, David? What are you mixed up in?" He sat across from me, rubbing his face with his hands. For a moment, he looked like the man I'd married, tired, vulnerable, human. But then he leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You have to trust me, Anna. I can't explain everything, not now. But I did what I had to do. For us." "For us?" My voice cracked. "The police were here, David. At 3 in the morning. They asked if you were home. Why would they come here unless you've done something terrible?" He flinched, his jaw tightening. "It's not what you think." I reached for his hand, desperate for reassurance, but he pulled away, pacing the kitchen instead. That's when I noticed the small cut on his knuckle, the dirt under his nails. My stomach turned. "Where were you tonight?" I pressed. He froze. "I can't tell you." My phone buzzed on the counter. I grabbed it instinctively, my heart skipping when I saw the message. "Detective Reynolds, he's there, isn't he? Don't let him suspect." Stay calm. My fingers tightened around the phone, hiding the screen from David. He stared at me, suspicion flickering in his eyes. Who was that? He asked. My throat went dry. One lie could keep me safe. One truth could end everything. Before I could answer, David leaned closer, his voice low and urgent. They're watching us, Anna. And if you don't listen to me, you'll be next. The first rays of dawn slipped through the blinds, painting the kitchen in pale gold. David stood across from me, his face half in shadow, half in light, as if even the sun couldn't decide whether he was guilty or innocent. Tell me what's going on, I whispered, clutching the burner phone in my pocket. I deserve to know. His jaw tightened. For a moment, I thought he would snap, but then his shoulders sagged, and he looked tired. Defeated. I made a mistake, he said softly. Months ago, at work. I thought it was harmless, just moving money around for a client, no questions asked. But it wasn't harmless. It was blood money. And now those people want it back, or they want me dead. My stomach turned. This wasn't the man who kissed me goodnight, who laughed at stupid sitcoms with me on the couch. This was someone else entirely. And the police? I asked. Why are they looking for you? His eyes flicked toward the window, scanning the empty street. Because I ran. Because if they catch me, I'll go to prison. But if they catch me, he shook his head. It's over. The words matched the note in the envelope. My blood ran cold. Before I could speak, the sound of tires crunching on gravel broke the silence. A black sedan rolled to a stop in front of our house. Two men stepped out, suits too crisp for this hour of morning, their movements sharp, purposeful. David's face drained of color. It's them, he hissed. I fumbled for the burner phone, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. With trembling fingers, I pressed the single button that dialed Detective Reynolds. Stay inside, Reynolds barked the moment he answered. We're here. Within seconds, headlights flared down the street. Police cars swarmed, their sirens slicing through the quiet dawn. The two men bolted, but officers intercepted them before they reached the house. David stood frozen, his hands clenched into fists. When Reynolds stormed through the door, gun drawn, David looked at me one last time, his eyes filled with regret. Anna, he whispered, I'm sorry. Then the cuffs clicked around his wrists. As the sun rose higher, I watched from the doorway, the man I married being led away. My heart ached, but somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered the truth I'd been avoiding all night. I had never really known my husband.